Welcome back to another episode of the NTD podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, and today I am violently hungover. I have not drank like I drank last night in a few months, but we gonna get on with the show today. It's been a minute since I have been on the mic. I think it's been like 2 months now since I recorded that episode with Connor and Zeb, two good friends of the show. So shout out to those two again. But yeah, we recorded that in New York. And that was like 2 months, like August. And we are approaching Turkey Day here this Sunday, November 21st. It's funny. I decided to come back. I decided for sure earlier this week, or I think it was last weekend. I was like, I got to get back on the mic. Let's get an episode out there. And lo and behold, the weekend I decided to do this. I didn't really want to talk about this. I wasn't too prepared to speak on this too much, but it's kind of the news of the weekend. And I mean, can we say we're really surprised with the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict? Am I right? I mean, we all kind of saw this coming. And the thing is that I wasn't paying attention to it too much. I saw a lot of viral stuff on Instagram. His that viral video that went of him crying during his testimony, whatever it was, blah, blah, blah.
Run, nigga, George Washington.
That's right. That still holds true to this day, unfortunately. For those of you who don't really know the details of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, Kyle Rittenhouse is a young white boy, who showed up to a protest in, I believe, Kenosha, Wisconsin, following the murder of I believe Jacob Blake earlier last summer, and that white boy pulled up with an AR-15 and let loose, killing, I believe, killing two protesters, two or three protesters, while he was going at it. He injured some other ones. And on all five charges, one charge being first-degree intentional homicide, not guilty. Attempted first-degree intentional homicide, not guilty. First-degree reckless homicide, not guilty. First-degree recklessly endangering safety, not guilty. And first-degree recklessly endangering safety, again, not guilty. It's kind of numbing at this point, right? Even just the backlash. I mean, you see the backlash on social media, stuff that you would expect, a lot of outrage, and rightfully so, right? But it doesn't even feel like the same outrage, similar, from what was going on with George Floyd last summer and Breonna Taylor. This one's more like numbing. Like we saw this coming, right? And he was tried, and by a jury of his peers. Let me be clear, of his peers, he was found not guilty, and it's kind of a shame. And as a good friend of mine reminded me in the wake of all this, that this jury, let's remember, folks, this jury of his peers are the same people that run our education system, that teach our children, that run the healthcare system. I mean, this is America. You know what I'm saying? No childish Gambino.
Run, nigga, George Washington.
And then on top of that, there's the case of Julius Jones, who some might say that it's a small win. His clemency so Julius Jones. Let me backtrack a little. Julius Jones was sent to prison in Oklahoma despite maintaining his innocence, and they've being corroborated by compelling evidence that he was wrongfully convicted of a murder, was going to be put to death this week. He had his last meal and everything. And on the last push, us as a society, we rallied and we got it pushed. We got his death sentence revoked. However, he is now serving another death sentence, which is life without the possibility of parole. So I ask you, is it really that much better? And yes, listen, at the end of the day, I agree. Where there is life, there is hope, right? And although he's facing life without the possibility of parole, there's still hope that maybe we can clear his name and actually get him out of prison. But that'll take fucking years. Fucking years. And, you know, at that point, your life is completely changed in so many different ways, I would imagine. And need I remind you of the Kalief Browder story? And that, for those of you who don't know the Kalief Browder story, Kalief Browder, God rest his soul, was a young man who was arrested for stealing a backpack, which he also maintained his innocence, right? And they put him without trial, sent him to Rikers, and he was in Rikers for 3 years. And when they finally got him out of Rikers, he killed himself, unfortunately. So that's just another example of, you know, what this justice system is, and what this justice system, you know, how you fall victim to this justice system that is not built for us, for our people. There's two of them. And this week, unfortunately, we got another example of that. But let's move on from that, right? We're going to move on. I have to say my 2 words on that real quick. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been on the mic. A lot of it being is, you know, taking some time to work on some other, I guess, projects, if you will, related to this podcast and sort of a vision I have for how I want to elevate this platform moving forward. Also just living life, you know. Remember, I am a school teacher and I moved to kindergarten this year, which is a lot more exhausting than one might think it is. But also a big reason why I've been off the mic or maybe felt discouraged, because I won't lie, I've been feeling a little bit discouraged to get back on the mic, you know, because sometimes I think about it, and I mean, at the end of the day, I've said this before on the podcast, you know, monetizing this is still, it's secondary. And if that was what I was really trying to achieve, like if that was my main mission with this, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to elevate this, you know, to a point where I could sustain, you know, be financially secure on this and monetize this and be, you know, this is how I make a living and make, you know, put food on the table. I think that's a dream for a lot of us. It's also it's in my it's in my genes, it's in my blood. You know, my dad is Soylo Garcia out here. He's he's been running a radio station, the best Spanish radio station out here in Rhode Island. Matter of fact, not even Rhode Island, New England, I would say, for the last 26 years. So 26, 27 years. And I grew up around this, and I found sort of my calling and my passion for this last year when I started it. But, you know, it's funny because podcasting also has become the new mixtape now, right? Everybody has with a mic and a computer has a fucking podcast now. And I think that's great, actually. But then there's times where I think, like, you know, it might just become like another basic fucking white boy with nothing real to say. And I'm just doing this for whatever reason I'm doing this. Sometimes, you know, in my lower moments, that gets me down. But I'm just pushing forward through it. And because, I mean, podcasting is such an oversaturated sort of media now. Like I said, everybody has a podcast, everybody has a YouTube channel and a TikTok and all that, and everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. And well, I think that would be fun. I don't know if that's something that I'm trying to chase necessarily. But I also have felt, the last, few episodes, give or takes. Obviously, I had some special guests on the last 3 to 4 episodes. There has been some less preparation that I've done, and maybe I haven't felt like the quality of my content is where I think it can be. But I feel like that's also that's a part of the trade, I think, too. You can't have a fucking great episode every fucking week and feel like you have something to say every week. Sometimes things get lulled, but I do want to bring that some sort of level of preparation back into this platform and my work. So, without further ado, I would like to present the new segment called Read Yourself to Death, friends. I have been doing a lot of reading and a lot of research. I actually wanted to, initially I had bigger plans for what this segment's going to be about. But, baby steps. And I've been doing a lot of reading and learning. And this one is, these last month and a half, it's been mainly on the history of my beautiful country, the Dominican Republic. And I would like to start today by telling you a story about a chief and a badass rebel back in the early 16th century who led one of the craziest slave rebellions at the time, Enriquillo. Now, Enriquillo was a Taino cacique. Cacique is basically a chief. It's a Taino chief. He's the head honcho. He was born, they believe it's 1498, something like that. And he was actually the grandnephew of Anacaona. I know Anacaona is more of a better known name, at least I'll say, in terms of Taino culture, who was a badass Taina cacica who was killed by the Spanish because they believed that she was rebelling and resisting, and she was, but you know what? I'm not even going to go into that, right? Because I don't even know too much about Anacaona. And I know one little story about the moment of her death, which I think is pretty fucking badass, that I'll touch on later. But Enriquillo, he became the cacique of Jaragua, but he was actually, as we all know, the Spanish came to our island, in 1492 when Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, blah, 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 right? He actually was baptized Christian or Catholic, and he actually learned how to read and write in a monastery in Veritas when he was very young. But unfortunately, in 1514, the Spanish had fucked up that economy, their own economy. Not only set aside the massacre they did to our Taino people, right? They fucked up that island so bad that they had to basically reconstruct the whole economy and restructure the whole economy from gold mining because they depleted that. This is in the Repartimiento of Albuquerque in 1514. Again, they landed in 1492. Now, I said earlier, I am a little hungover. I am having my coffee right now. I may be a little bit, I may have smoked a little something before this to get my head right and my tummy right, because I'm still hurting, friends. But that's like what? 15, 16, 17 years, 18 years, not even 20 years. Within the span of less than, around 20 years, they come to the island, decimate the Taino population, completely fucking extract, bare all the gold mines dry, to the point where they had the Repartimiento of Albuquerque in 1514, which is, like I said, they restructured the economy from a gold mining economy to a sugar plantation economy, right? They basically uprooted the remaining Taínos from their ancestral homelands and basically re-divvied up and reallocated their Taínos. The Spanish reallocated their Taíno slaves accordingly. And Unfortunately, Enriquillo was also a victim of this because he was removed from his ancestral land in Jaragua. And then they also, with the importation of African slaves at the time, because with the repartimiento, there was a level of guilt the Spanish felt. Obviously not guilty enough to leave and give, the Taino their land back, but, to maybe restructure here and there. And the way the Taino culture and their chiefdoms work, like their ancestral land is a big part of how they rule. And due to the increasing just like tensions of that came with the repartimiento, I won't go into too many details, but it's just a lot of power struggles. People ruling on land that's technically not their ancestral land, so on and so forth. Enriquillo himself rebelled in 1519. And this motherfucker was a badass. He rebelled in 1519. He took his wife. He killed the slave master and ran and fled to the Bauruco Mountains, which is like the southwestern part of the Dominican Republic, kind of where Barahona is. And this motherfucker wreaked havoc along with African slaves, because in actually 2 years after he revolted in 1519 or in 1521, there was an African slave revolt. And they met up with Enriquillo and his clan and the Taínos, and they met up in the Bauruco Mountains and they rebelled together. And they did so with a fucking vengeance. Their numbers reached beyond 4,000 people, folks. The Spanish did not know what to do. They were already kind of on their toes with the repartimiento and the economy going to shit over there. And now they have this fucking Django-like character icon in Enriquillo leading a crazy-ass rebellion for, I believe, it was the talks of peace came. He did this, so that was in 1519, and peace talks came in 1533. Right? So that's like 15 years. My math could be wrong again. I'm not going to go back and do it in my head. You guys can, you guys are smart enough. You guys can figure out how much time that is. But in that time, the Africans and the Taino people, they raided encomiendas. They killed slave masters to the point where they basically had the Spanish locked in Santo Domingo. They had nowhere to go. And they didn't know the Spanish did not know the island like Taínos did. And that guerrilla warfare, they were on some Viet Cong shit. They were really out here fucking doing the damn thing and freeing themselves, right? With the Africans, and this is important for the end of this story. So in 1533, Barrio Nuevo was a new governor that came in after previous governors. Four different actual attempts to beat and capture Enriquillo failed miserably. The Spanish, they didn't know what to do. They brought in this guy Barrio Nuevo from Spain, and instead of like his predecessors trying to go in there guns blazing, they offered peace. Right? They offered peace, and Enriquillo felt it out. And when he felt it out, he realized that their intentions for peace were pure. This nigga really fucking backed down. I still don't get it. They had him on the ropes. They were 4,000 strong. The Spanish couldn't do nothing with them. I'll send an olive branch to Enriquillo because right now I'm about to go in on him a little bit from my understanding of my own research. Because prior to his death, not only did he surrender and ask for peace, and had everybody in his camp, in his team, baptized Christian or Catholic, I should say. He also agreed to the crown to help capture runaway slaves and African maroons and Africans. Like where the fuck, what happened? Where is the fucking solidarity?
Solidarity! Solidarity! Solidarity!
I mean, talk about cooning the fuck out, selling out. And again, Maybe I'm being too harsh on Enriquillo. Maybe there's some context. I did do a lot of research on this, but maybe there's some context that I haven't looked into yet. Maybe there's other facts. Maybe there's something I'm missing. in my understanding of how Enriquillo, the last cacique, Django in the motherfucking flesh himself went down. But he gave him up. He conceded to the Spanish after winning, after taking back his island and his peace and his safety and his people and fleeing and being free. I don't understand. 4,000 strong. Matter of fact, you know what I have here? This is a letter from Enriquillo himself to King Charles V. I'll read you a little bit of this because just the language in this alone it left me so disappointed because this man was a hero, and maybe he is. Like I said, maybe he is a hero, and maybe there's something of the story that I'm not understanding or that I'm missing. But listen to this. Your Catholic Majesty, I received through Francisco de Barrio Nuevo, governor of the mainland, a royal decree that your Majesty granted me, and grateful for the favor and mercy your Majesty serves me, I kissed your hands and feet. Mama huevo! After reading your royal orders, I, with the required obedience as your lower servant, obeyed and carried out your commands and moved along with all the other Indians of my land to the towns of the Spanish. After capturing some Maroons, the Maroons being the Africans and the runaway slaves, who were in other parts of the island, I came to this city to speak to the president and other officials about some things that are convenient to your Majesty for the peace and tranquility of the land. In them and in the rest of the Spaniards, I have found much goodwill, and I depart to uproot some of the Indians that are not in your service to your Majesty, in which I shall occupy myself for the rest of my life to the utmost. I mean, come on. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. A year after he conceded, I think that letter went out in 1534. He died in 1535 of what is believed to be old age, and that is kind of old age for that time. He was around his 40s, I believe, at that time. Another way to look at it, he let his ancestors down, and his ancestors weren't fucking with that coonery shit. Because a year after he got his peace, and he sold out the African slaves and anybody else who didn't agree with the Spanish peace, he died. 1535, Anacaona was looking down on him. He was the grandnephew of Anacaona. And Anacaona, on her day of death, when the Spanish finally they got her, they were gonna hang her. Rumor has it that day, ladies and gentlemen, she was offered another chance at life, and all she had to do was marry some Spanish politician or diplomat or whatever the fuck you want to call them back in the day, and she would be spared. And she basically told him to go fuck himself and to go kiss her ass. And they killed her. But she died like a motherfucking G. Unlike, I will say, about Enriquillo, who was Django turned fucking coon. Right? Yeah, Django. I forget the Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django Unchained, the butler. But yeah. So that was the first edition of Read Yourself to Death, new segment here in NTD. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. And yeah. So what are your thoughts? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that he let him down? He let us down. I mean, I really framed that way, but I feel like he let us down. Maybe he wasn't old age. Maybe that was his ancestors turning his back on him dying a year. I mean, how serendipitous of the whole thing for him to die after all that fighting. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed that. And that's sort of the energy and sort of some sort of journalistic integrity and educational integrity I'm trying to bring to this podcast. Have some better conversations, at least with myself for the time being. When I feel like things are getting dull. So, and I think so there's going to be more of things like that to come for this podcast. I'm actually having a lot of fun learning about the DR. It's a lot. I had bigger plans, and it's crazy about, reading history. the way I'm reading it right now, it's like when you learn so much when such a vast amount of history, it's like you get a question answered, but then there's two more other questions, and history doesn't necessarily, the history of DR and Haiti and that island doesn't exist in a vacuum. You got to take into account everything that was going around in that time. So this is something that I'm working on and I'm looking to refine, but I really hope you guys enjoyed that. So I'm not a complete dumbass out here. I'm not a complete burnout. Just talking about dumb shit. Like the Patriots, which are fucking 7-4, by the way. I'm actually watching Buffalo play right now as we speak, and they are down 24-7. So we, barring a comeback from Buffalo, are looking to take first place. My boy Mac 10 doing his fucking thing out there on the field. I'm pretty sure, I think he has more wins this year than all other rookie quarterbacks combined. Bill Belichick is showing to be, the genius that he is. And, we'll see. We have a test against the Titans coming up, and then we got Buffalo. I think two back-to-back weeks. Is it 2 back-to-back weeks? I don't know, but we got them twice in December, and that's going to be tough. But I think we can take one of those games. 2 weeks ago, I said we were going to finish 10-7 and make the playoffs at 10-7. But after, that blowout win against the Browns and that shutdown win against the Falcons on Thursday, I'm inclined to go maybe 11-6. 11-6, take the division and get ourselves back in the playoffs, back in the hunt for another Super Bowl ring, which would be pretty exciting. I didn't really talk about the Red Sox that much because it's been been about a month and a half since the season ended. Congratulations to the Atlanta Braves for winning the chip, which is who I was going for, obviously, after my Red Sox got knocked out by the Houston Astros. The Braves definitely deserved that ring. That's wild. They were an under 90 team win. Not only did they win the division, but they beat the Dodgers, they beat the Brewers, and they beat the Houston Astros to take their first World Series, and I believe 20-some years. I think they won in the 90s at some point, not too long ago. But congratulations to them. Red Sox looking good, optimistic about the season. The year coming. I mean, we just lost Erod. He gave us some good years, but it doesn't hurt too much. And we were going to give him the money that Detroit gave him, so it is what it is. So let me start wrapping this up. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet today, and hopefully be back soon. But I got good news of the week, people. I know I started this episode on a kind of a gloomy note, but good news of the week. Jessica Watkins becomes the first black woman on the International Space Station cruise. So give it up for Jessica Watkins, y'all. That is actually fucking huge. She was actually a geologist who earned her undergrad in Stanford, and then she got her doctorate at UCLA. And she'll serve as a mission specialist during the Crew 4 flight. I don't really know what that means. It's way above my intelligence level, but fuck it, yo. She's going to space, and I think that's fucking dope. First black woman to go to International Space Station, to go to space. So I think that's really fucking dope, I should say. And shout out to Floor and Louisbo, who is dear fans of the show. We had Louisbo on an episode last summer. Congratulations to them. Yesterday was her gender reveal party, which is why I'm so violently hungover. But they are having a beautiful baby boy. I think it is due. I think she mentioned that the child is due in March, so God bless the both of them. They are adding an addition to their already beautiful family of 3, and they got a baby boy on the way, and that's fucking awesome. More shout-outs. I think this came out 2 months ago, but Connor Kenahan, another friend of the show who's been on the last 2 episodes, Connor fucking Kenahan dropped an album, yo. He dropped a 6-track EP. It's called Reverie. And he's on some Tame Impala shit. He played all the instruments himself. It's actually really dope. It's really good music. He's really killing it right now. He also started a a radio show to recently. It's called World Echo Radio, so go check that out. But Connor's album, it's called The Reverie. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. Go follow him. His handle, his Instagram is Conmaniac, or Conmania. It's one of those two. You'll find it. He's doing big things, y'all. I'm really happy for him. I really enjoyed the album. I have yet to check out. I think he just dropped the second episode of the radio show earlier last week. I haven't checked out any of those, but I got to soon. So yeah, that's really fucking dope. I'm really happy for him. Again, go check out that album, Reverie. It is on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your music, wherever you stream your music. And yeah, I think that's it for today, folks. So thank you for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving full of food and family and liquor and all that good stuff. Until next time, dirtbags, holla.